This presentation is about environmental policy, a topic full of controversy and urgency. The presentation is divided into three parts: the environmental policy for Canada, for the United States, and then for the United Kingdom. The goals of Canada's environmental policy are as follows: to protect the environment, to conserve the country's natural heritage, to provide accurate weather and environmental predictions, to support sound environmental decisions by the government, to repair the damage of the past, to collect and pass on the knowledge, to develop and implement and enforce policies to prevent future damage, and to work towards sustainable development. Canada protects the environment through 25 pieces of legislation. These laws govern the use of toxic substances, the import and export of harmful substances, the protection of migratory birds and endangered species, the protection and trade of domestic water and water shared internationally. Canada also promotes the well-being of the environment by sharing knowledge, by developing and supporting partnerships, by establishing economic incentives to support sound environmental decisions, and by creating and maintaining information tools such as the Canadian Bird Trends Database, Hinterland's Who's Who, the National Pollutant Release Inventory, emission forecasts and trends, and engineering climatology products and services. The most significant issues Canada faces are air pollution, climate change, biodiversity, pollution and waste, water, weather, and extreme weather. The United States environmental policy has certain characteristics. First, the government authority is highly fragmented, and the Environmental Protection Agency is only the most comprehensive. This fragmentation means that there is access for environmentalists, but also industry groups, to decision makers. And no one committee or agency looks at environmental problems as a whole. The Environmental Protection Agency has a number of functions. It regulates activities with environmental impact in the United States. It protects the environment for the future generations. It does not interfere with commerce or freedom of activity. The high costs of the EPA led to a backlash from business and conservatives, and therefore there has been limited progress on such issues as energy policy and greenhouse gas emissions. Environmental policy evolved under President Bush. There were several proposals made in his second administration, and the global goal to control emissions of greenhouse gases was affirmed. There was a post-Kyoto Accord on greenhouse gases, and the argument that environmentalism can damage the economy was abandoned. Under President Obama, the administration won the backing of all mainstream environmental groups, and after criticism, he became bolder on policy, particularly in his second term, and he changed environmental laws. The main issues facing U.S. environmental policy are acid deposition, ozone depletion, hazardous wastes, risk control policy, and impact on the environment. The U.S. government uses certain policy tools to achieve its goals. It establishes rules and inducements. It designs standards and performance standards. It charges systems such as emission taxes, and it allows for tradable permit systems, that is to say, the auction of pollution rights. In the United Kingdom, the areas of responsibility of the government with respect to environmental policy is the broadest of the three countries we are studying. It covers agriculture, air quality, animal health and welfare, biodiversity, conservation, chemicals and pesticides, fisheries, flooding, food, forestry, hunting, inland waterways, land management, marine policy, national parks, noise, plant health, rural development, sustainable development, waste management, and water management. The Department of the Environment, Food, and Rural Affairs has a set of priorities. It's to protect the environment, to make sure the economy is more environmentally sustainable, to improve quality of life and well-being, to support and develop farming and encourage sustainable food production, to enhance the environment and biodiversity to improve quality of life, and to support a strong and sustainable green economy resilient to climate change. At the time of this writing, the UK has just voted to exit the European Union, but for the last several years, the biggest influence on environmental policy has been the influence of the European Union. The EU-wide standards include compliance deadlines, and the UK within the EU advocates a better use of research and development programs for environmental technologies, government support for development of new environmental technologies, environmental legislation focused on outcomes and not prescriptions, renewable energy and energy efficiency, the reduction of uncertainty in policy, and the purchasing of less damaging goods and services. The major challenges facing the UK are a continuing lack of policy evaluation, which is hard to establish because it is hard to decide which are most effective, environmental policies that are disconnected from innovation in environmental technologies, and the need to tailor policy to businesses. This survey of the three countries shows how differently environmental policies can be developed and what areas they apply to. But nonetheless, each country experiences both controversy and urgency.